Welcome to Conscious Crypto. We're checking back in on market conditions. This is our level of patience. We don't drop a video every day telling you this or that. We look at key levels on high time frames for the biggest moves in crypto. So you don't have to constantly stare at the screen. You don't have to constantly monitor. Let me do that for you and come back to you with only the highest probability setups. Now let's take a look at this on the high time frame. Looks like Bitcoin has topped out, right? That's always spoken in probabilities, but I always am putting my money behind it in terms of trades, sells, shorts, puts, etc. So taking a quick look here, we had in this last night, this was an up candle, but it was about to be 5 up weeks in a row. And that is just unparalleled in a bear market. Something we see plenty in a bull market, right? Something we're like, okay, yeah, I'm used to that. Even here, this was 4 weeks up, 1 week down. So that's kind of exceptional. On top of that, this vector candle represents a lot of activity, a lot of liquidity. We needed it to break through this original accumulation zone, which created support for the bull market on this last push up. And then of course, retested and then held for almost 9 weeks here before this 10th week broke down and through that support very cleanly, right? A lot of liquidity, a lot of volume, massive amount of breakthrough, then breakdown. Of course, we've retested it now here to understand why I believe this is the turn. Let's go to the lower time frames and take a look. Now, just so you understand, these moving averages are absolutely critical. 50, 100, 200 week moving averages. They're simple moving averages. But you'll notice as soon as we break down and below the 50, bull market over. We might get a retest. We usually go straight to the 200, get a retest, then come down through. And now we've been breaking below. In the past, we've always held the 200 as support. We're now starting to break down and below it. You can see, again, break down and close. Okay, done. Straight to the 200. Retest of that 50, break down through, and then we're coming down here. So I do expect, I think most people are expecting this to come down and through. However, this was a huge accumulation zone. It's like something was happening here for the longest period of time. Let's see how many weeks we were down. And we haven't even broken through it yet. Between the $60 and $80 range, we've been there for 12 weeks. 12 weeks. That's a long time, 3 months to be in there, and we still haven't broken through. So we'll see how this goes. But if there was going to be a super cycle, now hear me out. If there is going to be a super cycle, I would believe that they sold this off so quickly to now reaccumulate, to try to, again, retest highs at least, or maybe break through to just a slightly bigger high. And then just keep oscillating in this range of accumulation before really sending the Bitcoin price to $1 million or $500,000, something like that. Okay. So this might be smoothing out volatility, but pushing the trend higher by reducing the bear market. Until that's actually proven, right? Until we retest $125,000, I won't believe it. I instead go based on this thesis and that we're going to break down below the 200 into the 50s, if not all the way down to 33, 37K. Let's actually look at this current setup so you can make more sense of what's actually happening here. Now on the daily RSI, this is the index. You can see here that on the 12-hour, we got lower highs despite getting at least one higher push here. You can see it on the TDI as well. Here's the higher high. Let me go ahead and take all that off. So if you look here and you look to the TDI, which is simply a moving average of the RSI with volatility bands, you can see that there is a divergence, that this got higher with a big sell-off candle and what they'd call a doji, falling star, blah, yada, yada. Oh, there's a hammer, yada, yada, yada. They are significant when you look at higher time frames, and there is a beautiful boom, boom, boom. So divergence there. And then even essentially a matching high but definitely a lower high here. So that is enough divergence for me on a high time frame to say, yep, we're done here. The only thing that I actually liked about this rally or still consider bullish is that this downtrend that has essentially been 3 hits of divergence and then a rolling retest, which gave us a huge signal to the downside. It's actually broken that, slightly retested that, and then pushed up. So it could, again, retest this, continue the upside. You always got to leave those possibilities open, which is why risk management is everything, and you don't go all in on anything. Now looking at the smaller time frames here. Okay, to me, that looks like a double top with vector activity, means this push up, I saw it last night. Then I saw what was a 1 hour cross of the 50 EMA, which is a great signal to the downside. You can see how it worked to the upside back here, right? Really beautiful to the upside. This one to the downside, yes, but it trailed into divergence on the 15-minute time frame, check and go off the moving averages. So you can just see that these, even when they're small, they're actually really good signals when it crosses through the middle of the body. You can see here, you could have scalped something down towards the bottom. So all of that's to say is like, these are not to be ignored. They do tend to signal upside moves. And we got one here. Okay, then we got a retest into it and a rejection. And now we're looking at a 4-hour cross, potential close. Again, this is going to be a huge one. In 25 minutes, can we close down below? Because what it just did is recovered some liquidity down here. And it's bouncing off that liquidity. But I don't think it holds there. Personally, that's just not what I expect. However, I will take the opportunity for a retest into this area to add to my short position. I would love that. That's exactly how I would play that. Could show you guys that in a minute. Now, ETH also short here. Here's the 1 hour cross. But what I really liked was this trend line. You get it on both the actual chart, and you've gotten this sense of trend line going on in the TDI as well. So just hard to break above there. I believe this actually registered as divergent. Yeah, here it is on the RSI. So this is hidden bearish divergence, meaning the RSI got higher than the price relative to its last high, meaning that strength was actually so much more, but not enough to break to new highs. So I'm looking at that and I'm saying, yeah, this is not necessarily the area I want to be short. I'm short up in here. Looking for maybe, that's the idea, is just finding the best position for this. And if you wanted my rating of that, it's any recovery within this 1 hour cross. Oh, that 4 hour cross. Wow, that's an even a higher signal. So anything in here, I'm seeing confluence around the 328 and this point of interest, as well as the 0.5 as point of interest, but the stop has to go above here. If you really want to be safe and you're a swing trader expecting these prices to go much lower, I put it above here. Now, of course, we've seen so much downside. So the contrarian in me wants to think like, wait, I don't really think that we can roll over from here. But in reality, man, it's weird to think that we're going to go below this with Ethereum and see new lows and break this multi-year trend line. Like, it's just hard to believe that. But I lean to the calendar, right? We lean to the calendar, and Bitcoin followed the calendar to a T in terms of monthly candles from the bottom. And if you go top to bottom again, it's usually around 12 to 14. I think this was our actual bottom right here. So if you see the 12, that's 12 months of downside. So 12 months puts us into October. It's a ways away. It's just expecting more downside. Now I can see the respectable bounce off this 50 EMA. You can see it in the past, but of course we also broke down through it, right? We broke down through it. And maybe that was institutions actually getting prepared, helping sell whatever they had to get this 15K pricing. And now I just don't know, right? I don't know about that. And this looks like a really strong potential reversal. So it's at a very interesting area, all-time high. So, I could talk my way out of this, but I'm going to stick with my low time frame and saying there's got to be some downside here. Making a bold call to say that it's a big turn, but we're waiting for these closes, Bitcoin to close in the next 20 minutes and close below the 50 EMA. That's going to be significant. Obviously here, it was a false signal, but it often doesn't close below with any significance. So we'll take a look. We'll see what happens. This is definitely a strong resistance area. If Bitcoin is going to turn, it's going to be here. That's a beautiful double top forming. I got to see some recovery, at least to the 0.328 down here. That would make a lot of sense. But knowing Bitcoin is going to recover some of the liquidity into the 0.5 retracement of 72,000. So those are general targets if that's how you want to trade. However, part of me is like, I got a position for something far more drastic considering we are in a bear market and the fear and greed just reset. So taking a look at the fear and greed, that 97,000 high right there, you see that right there, it says 96.9. 97,000 high. We were at 54. We were at a neutral fear and greed on the index. On this recent one, we got above 60. So we got into actual greed territory and the Bitcoin price was nowhere near as strong. So you can see the Bitcoin price leading the fear and greed index here. Here, it's like, it's actual apathy. It's actual like, just not really interested in getting into that right now. With other markets surging, other markets doing well, with the oil, crisis because of the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. So there's other reasons, and even this crypto fear and greed index got into the neutral territory, which was pretty crazy. So 47 here and 46 here, and this thing has been stubborn. Like I haven't been able to like really look at this over the past 3 months. It's been below 30 and just above 5. Like there's a 5 reading there for you. And it's just been just so bored. So this is a bit of an older measurement. And I've been starting to use this one to get a little more sense and wait for those greed signals, those neutral signals to be like, okay, if we're in a bear market and we get into greed territory, yeah, I'm flipping to a contrarian position. So at the end of the day, you do you. Trade with the knowing that you must predefine the risk of every trade, accept that risk or scratch the trade. And most importantly, think in probabilities at all times. Fuck your feelings, think in probabilities. If you see a signal, you take the trade. Manage the risk and accept the risk. And that's really the bulk of trading. After that, it gets just nitty gritty, just, okay, take profits, targets, but really nail your position size, be comfortable with the amount of money you are willing to risk. If you are not comfortable with the amount of money you're willing to risk, then you are likely trading from a faulted place, a sense of being right, of thinking you can't be wrong, of knowing. And as soon as you think you know in the markets, you are prone to lose. Okay, y'all, I'm making these videos because we've launched an algo that trades NASDAQ futures and kicks absolute ass. I've also devved with the help of a few of the best coders that I know, actual human coders, a crypto strategy, a crypto algo. And I'm absolutely excited to launch that. So keep an eye on this channel. If you are into automated trading and want something that trades for you, makes you money while you sleep, while you work, while you spend time actually living life. Something that can make money whether the market goes up or the market goes down.